friends of the internet, welcome to another episode of the Grunge Bible podcast. We've made it to episode 9, and there's no stopping this train. My name is Chris Salona, and I'm joined as usual by my friend Ethan Shalloway. Ethan, how are you today?
I'm doing really well, Chris. It's a nice Monday. Actually, I got a live concert that I'm headed to later tonight. I'm going to see Mount Joy.
Oh,
I got some work in this morning, and this is the last thing on the docket before we go get some live music and an outdoor event. Actually, it's supposed to rain, but other than that, I'm really excited. Got a good group of people that we'll have a table for. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
This has got to be your first concert that you've attended, and I mean that anybody's attended probably in the better part of a year, maybe longer than that at this point. So when was your last concert prior to this?
Oh, let's see. Official concert, something that I bought tickets for that wasn't like a friend. I'd probably say, yeah, last year, maybe right in the beginning of the new year, I saw Camp.
Oh, okay.
They were here in Birmingham, so I saw Camp. I think they were the most recent one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was great. That was like right across from where I'm going to see Mount Joy tonight in Avondale. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Have you been to a concert in the past year?
I have not been to a concert. I don't think since 2019. The last concert I think I saw was the John Butler Trio. It was either them or Government Mule. The town that I used to live in, Government Mule used to always come through, and I would always go and see them, and led by Big Warren Haynes at the front. But hopefully this summer I'll be able to make my way to some concerts. I really do miss that aspect of music, but that's great. I'm excited. You've got a good Monday lined up, and what better way to add on to that Monday by recording a podcast here.
Oh yeah, it's becoming one of my favorite things to do. Honestly, I love getting on the tube and be able to talk with you. So, and we got a good one today.
We do.
I think there's a topic that we love. We love to talk. I know that Chris and I love to banter about this to each other all the time. It's what's good and what's bad about Instagram and running a social media account. And sometimes we talk about the bad a lot. But there is some good that we like talking about, and we like
all bad.
And it's not all bad. It's easy to talk about the bad, as many of you know. That's how life is in general. It's easy to kind of rant and rave. But we got some good stuff to talk about. I'm excited. It's going to be a little bit, shooting from the hip, which is going to be great. And we're just going to talk about Grunge Bible as a whole.
Yeah, just pure unfiltered banter. I'm looking forward to that. But before we get into that, I would like to take some time and thank our top level patrons over on Patreon who make this podcast possible. So we have 4 members of that top level tier who are, powering this podcast and allowing us to do what we do. And they are Sonny Mashburn, Victor Schaefer, Shannon Gorgone, and Alexis Shannon. And Alexis actually just recently joined. So thank you so much, Alexis. And thank you to Sonny, Victor, and Shannon for your support over on Patreon. Additionally, in addition to those 4, we do have a new member of the Patreon club. Her name is Jade Mercado. So thank you so much, Jade, for joining us up on Patreon. And we're really appreciative for your support over there.
Yeah, that is one of the best notifications that we can get when someone pops up that Victor has joined Patreon and is giving you $10, is supporting you $10. That goes a long way, and I'm always so stoked to see that pop up.
Yeah, it doesn't get old. The fact
never fails.
We're putting this podcast together. It's a lot of fun, and just like the extra encouragement that people are actually enjoying what we're talking about, which I think we say every single episode, but it is still strange to me that people enjoy our conversation and our banter.
A few people that I've talked to, Chris, that listen to it, they say we're doing a pretty good job. We have good chemistry. So at least we got that going for us.
Yeah. And like, no one has outright told us that we suck. But particularly amongst my friends, I'd like to think that I'm good enough friends with them that they would call bullshit if I was really bad at this. So hopefully we're like right in that mediocre to maybe good on our best day, like right in the middle of the pack, but we're trudging up that mountain.
Yeah, I think we're rounding into form nicely. So
absolutely. Well, it's our 9th episode. So
yeah, we got to do something big for 10. I guess 10 should be about Pearl Jam.
10 should be about 10. I think
there you go.
There we go. It's settled. So next week, I guess we're gonna have to do that. So it'll be
easy content right there.
Yep. Just hammering content. That's all we know how to do. But speaking of content, we've been in the quasi business of Instagram, quote unquote business, for over 5 years now. I don't know how the page is as big as it is, but it
No idea.
it comes with a lot. Comes with a lot of good, and it comes with a lot of bad.
Yeah, it does, and it's changed over the years. It's so funny what was good and what we, how the numbers have changed and how we viewed certain, maybe mentions or interactions in the beginning versus how we view them now, and what really, what does it for us, as we like to say, and what no longer does it for us. So we talk about that a lot. Like, there's some things that just don't do it for me anymore that used to. And so it's been a wave. It's been up and down. But where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? The good, the bad, the ugly?
Speaking of, what does it for us? I think when we first started, how crazy and how cool it was when like a notable public figure would like or comment or follow. And it's funny, just before we hopped on to record this, I was made aware that Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit actually commented on one of our recent posts, and that was it's exactly like what you said. It's like we get the notification, we're like, all right, Fred, like, cheers to you, man, but I don't really know what to do with this information. I guess Fred Durst likes Soundgarden. It was a Soundgarden post, and he commented a couple of lightning emojis. So we love that for Fred. We love that for us, and we love that for Soundgarden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. And it's always funny because we've looked and there's not really a way to see, to give you a list of the check marked people that follow you.
You can't filter for famous people.
Yeah, you can't filter for famous. So we find out it's like a little like breadcrumb every time if someone comments or if we happen to see that they like a post. So it's always fun when something pops up or somebody tells us, like, hey, did you know that John Mayer follows your Porch Radio account?
Yeah, or like, hey, Tom Morello just liked your post, or like so and so commented on it,
or Bill Burr. Yeah, Bill Burr liked your last comment.
Exactly. Or I remember
these are all true, by the way.
Yeah,
those people.
Yeah, and I remember Doug Robb of Hoobastank, the lead singer, he sent us a really, really heartfelt direct message, and something to the effect of, your page brings back memories of the most formative music period in my life. Like, thank you so much for this page and keep doing what you do. So Ethan and I always say to one another, you never know what is in store next with this page. And I think, speaking of the good of the page, like that's a lot of fun. Like, you never really know what's next. You never know, what comments are going to be made, who's going to interact, and kind of that segues into one of my favorite parts is just the stories that we're able to hear and that we're able to take part in on this page. I mean, as we've gotten bigger, that's one of my favorite functions of the size of the page as it's gotten bigger is, we cast a wider net. So it seems like every single concert video that we post, we have somebody who was there who's so pumped to share their experience of like, oh man, it was 105 degrees that day. Like, we were running out of water. They were spraying the fire hose on us. And, it was just an absolutely kick-ass experience. Then the band came out, and, you never know, what experiences people are going to share with us. And it's always fun to read those.
Yeah. And in the same breath, you never know how it's going to affect somebody. And that's I think one of my favorite, and your favorite is, you post something, like you said, and lo and behold, the lead singer to Hoobastank, it affected them, and they kind of responded. And you're just like, wow, I had no idea. I posted something on Porch Radio, and someone said I hadn't smiled all day until I saw this, and I was like, all right, well, then it was worth it. That, and we've had countless interactions like that where people comment and just be like, wow, I really needed this today. And that is probably, if I ever get tired or worn from the Instagram, I think of like, why am I doing this? And it's clearly not for the numbers or not for the fame and stuff. And I think an easy way to remind myself is the good that it does, and the simple fact that like it is a community of people that are able to kind of level on the same music and the same ideas and the same life experiences. Because a lot of this, music, like he said, pinpoints a time in these people's lives that they went through together. And then, so there's experiences are similar, and it's really cool. And I love that about music. I love that about the page. It's probably the easiest thing is just how we can be connected. And you get a lot of that on the page. You get a lot of direct messages.
Yeah, that's kind of the cool thing about the platform is, and just the internet in general, is that anybody, regardless of who you are, has an opportunity to share things. And the fact that there are people who are tied into us who, pay attention to what we share and, get value out of it. I always say that, if we can add value to people's lives, I think that's a lot of fun. But like what you were saying, we get a lot of interactions and we get a lot of messages. And, speaking of something that it's tough to keep up with the messages. I post.
The downside of this is the pure volume that we now get.
It's just it's a lot, and it takes time because you want to interact with everybody, and you want to sharing whatever it is that they're sharing, but it's tiring. As a matter of fact, I just I shared a meme earlier today on the stories, and it was I'm a big fan of SpongeBob memes, as you can tell. Back up there, I've got a SpongeBob art on my wall, and it was a Squidward meme, and he's got this button on him at work, and the button says, "I'm not ignoring you. I'm just really busy. And if I don't use my few free hours for myself instead of responding to everybody, I will straight up lose my sanity." And it gets overwhelming. And for example, yesterday we had a little incident on the page where I posted a story, pretty much just saying that you can compliment female artists without basically saying that you want to fuck them, and you can keep it about the art and you don't have to objectify them. And we got so many responses, mostly good, but some pissed off men replying to that. And the inbox is broken. It's like that backup is never going to get sorted through.
Yeah, I can't believe you'd be so unreasonable, Chris.
I know, what the fuck? Like how could I possibly suggest to somebody that they ought to be respectful of other people?
Yeah, it's just yeah, and it used to not be that way because I think we built our page on responding to people. So we have a good history of responding to people and kind of built that type of persona. So now it's really tough. And one of my biggest gripes with Instagram is like, they don't tell you how many you got. It says 99 plus.
Yep. So that could mean that could mean 101, or that could mean 1,000.
Yeah.
It doesn't
sometimes
end.
I remember Chris, texting like, I'm going to go through the inbox, and you're like, it's just going to keep coming. It's like, it's like a zombie horde.
Yeah.
You get through a bunch, you respond, you send some emojis if you have to. You just straight up delete some, and it doesn't matter how many you do, how many waves, it just refills full inbox. I'm like, dude, just let me know. I need an end in sight. Is it 1,000? Yeah. If it is, I'm done. But if it's 150, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And they don't tell you. And once you get in a groove and you start going through them, the app always crashes and it doesn't let you send a message. So like, I'm just trying to send a damn heart to somebody to let them know that I saw it,
Yeah. Why does the app crash when I'm using it? I'm just doing it.
I'm using the app how it was supposed to be used. Like, do you think Fred Durst has this problem? Well, first of all, I don't think Fred Durst is responding to his DMs. Secondly, I don't know, maybe Instagram chooses to, offer him some better support than we do. But that's always a tough part. And I feel kind of bad sometimes too, because sometimes I'll just go in and just look at the messages, and I don't reply. I don't, give the read receipt. And I feel badly because, people have questions or they want to share things, and sometimes it's impossible to get to all of them. But one of my favorite functions, because I'm a procrastinator and because it's just so overwhelming at times, I think if you're a professional account,
Control, Alt, Delete. No. One of my favorites.
Depends on the day, but you can read a message and you can swipe to the left and click unread, so the person doesn't know that you've seen it. I've been known to employ that quite a bit, but I don't have it on my personal account because my personal account's a personal account. So I've slipped up sometimes and I've opened something that I really didn't want to respond to yet, and I can't.
Yes. I
can't go back. Some words can't be taken back.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a definition and a word for this where you have anxiety about opening a message because you feel the responsibility to respond.
Yeah.
There has to be something, because I do that with my phone and on the app where I can't open it until I'm ready to respond, and I put it off. Even the simplest of simple text.
100%.
I mean, I do it to you probably all the time. Where I see it, I'm like,
it's a slippery slope too, because you're like, I'll respond to this in an hour. Next thing you know, 9 days have gone by. And you haven't
Exactly. And I've done this with my good friend David. Right? He asked me like a coffee advice. I did it to you the other day. Yes, and I was like, I need to wait till I have time to respond. And then when I finally have respond, yeah, it's 7 days later. He's like,
Yeah.
wow, that was a quick response, like it's sarcastic.
Exactly.
He's like, wow, I just get into this now, and I'm like,
Yeah, I've gotten
yeah,
so
kind of.
much. I've gotten so much worse at that as I've gotten older. When I
Yeah.
was younger, I would pretty much just respond right away. But now, oh man, I like this is horrible to think about right now because in my text inbox right now, I actively have like 4 or 5 people that I'm doing that to right now. And then over on Instagram, I've got a couple too. And on Grunge Bible, I have between 100 and 1,500 in there.
Yeah.
But I guess the one nice thing about this is, um, you know, when you like you get your first job or your first internship and like you're supposed to be sending emails, whether it be to like a coworker or like the company or whatever, and people always talk about how they reread the message like 47 times before they send it because they're afraid they're going to mess up. Like I have no misgivings about sending things. Like I don't have that type of anxiety in like my day job because I guess Grunge Bible has made me so used to having to interact with people and send messages. So I guess that is an upside of having to handle the volume, but
Mhm.
yeah, it can be overwhelming at times.
And a lot of times I think I do it because I don't want to get stuck doing that for another hour of like
Yeah.
responding. And which is not good. So and the best is when I'll respond to something and then I'll move on to the next few and then the people respond back and I'm like, whoa, buddy, I already gave you
It's not your turn.
I already gave you a response. I can't have a conversation right now.
Yeah. Do not
Like I'm gonna
go like $200.
so sometimes they respond back. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
All right, I guess they know I'm on.
Yeah. So some of my favorite things though are when people send us certain things. Like I think the internet is such a stupid place when you think about it. And just like the amount of memes and the humor that exists, like that's one of my favorite things about the page is just like the humor that comes through it. And, if we'll start a joke and people immediately come on and some of them are super, super witty and super funny with the things that they share. And then people will start things all their own. And I love how quick the internet is with memes and everything like that. And it's fun to kind of hop in the mix. But that's always been one of my favorite things about the page is just getting laughs out of it. I guess it's kind of selfish, but for my own personal entertainment, it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you love posting the memes.
Yeah, I've been known to enjoy a good meme or two, and I only recently really have I
So what
started
you're
to try to
saying,
craft some.
so what you're saying, one thing you love about the page is you can do whatever you want.
Correct. That is my favorite thing about the page is that I can do whatever I want. And it's always funny. And this just happened yesterday with that story post that I was referencing earlier about like objectifying women. Some angry dude responded and he told us to shut up and stick to posting, which like those are direct contradictions of one another. You cannot fundamentally keep your mouth closed and still post because posting is speaking. But it's always funny when people try to, whether it be to us or whether it be to people in the comments, when they try to tell people that their opinion is wrong or that they can't say their opinion or whatever. And it's just, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Just as, for example, if somebody comments something really shitty, they have the right to comment that, but I also have the right to try to body bag them or to block them. That's always I have just as much of a right to do that as they do to be a shitty human on the internet. And unfortunately, as the page has gotten bigger, the volume of shitty individuals that come along the page has also increased, but it's still such a small percentage.
Yeah. Yeah. Interacting with bozos is always, it's always fun. It's always fun to get into something, but it is draining. At some point, it's like, all right, like it's over right now. It's just as simply as blocking people. Like,
yeah, I've grown to
nothing
love
for us.
block button. Yeah, like when we first started the page, I never really blocked anybody because it never really got to that point. But the last couple of years, I've really enjoyed using the block button. And some people are very persistent. And this just happened yesterday, actually. Somebody came into the DMs trying to throw some mud at us. I didn't like what they had to say. I blocked them, and they went on and they utilized an Instagram page that was set up for their dog to message us again and continue to say a whole bunch of disparaging things about me. So yeah, I never thought that I would be getting yelled at by someone's dog, but just like what we said, you never know what Grunge Bible is gonna give us next.
Getting barked at, as they say.
Yeah, they're coming up
Jeez.
in here with all that kind of stuff. But I mean, the good interactions far and away outweigh the bad, and because if they didn't, I would not be doing this. It would just be too annoying. But a lot of that stuff, like, it doesn't really bother me. When people call me names, or
Yeah.
people call me a loser or whatever. Like, it's nothing that's not true. So
Yeah, if they were lying, I'd be mad. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care when people post that stuff. I mean, I'll respond once, but I'm just known to not respond.
exactly. So
And give them.
one thing that I want to get your opinion on, if you were to block somebody hypothetically, and they were to somehow get in contact with you afterwards and apologize, and try to make amends to get unblocked, would you unblock them? Like, would you be open to doing that, or are all rulings final?
Is it my personal or is it the page?
It's the page.
Oh yeah, I'd be. I mean, it depends what they said and whatnot, but I'd be
Yeah.
if they came back and were like super whatever. I'd be like, yeah,
See, that's where I differ. No,
yeah.
no appeal on the docket today. I embody that. If I
I knew
block
you were gonna say that.
if I block you, you're done. You gotta make another account. And just recently, I blocked somebody.
That's what's the crazy part. Just make another account.
Make another account. I will never know. I'll never know.
Never. There's no way that we would know.
Unless you let me know. But I mean, just recently, I blocked them, and then they had all of their friends DMing the page as a petition. But I explained to them, there's no appeal available. All rulings are final. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. But I kind of figured that we would differ in that. But also the problem is, too, chances are I'm not really going to remember specifically why I blocked you, just because there's so many people. So this is not a fair and open court, as they say.
It doesn't have to be.
No, we are the judge and the jury
and the executioner.
Somebody's got to do it.
That's right. All right. So what's next? Good, bad, ugly. What should we do?
Let's pick something good. I feel like the barometer has been shifting a little bit towards the bad.
And this is what we talked about earlier. We can get ranting pretty easily. So bear with us if we talk about the bad. But hey, at least it's honest. That's the fun part about this podcast, is you get a little insight about what me and Chris get frustrated about or happy about. So
yeah, and none of it's that serious. But I think one good thing, I have discovered a lot of really cool music from the page, and within the genre of quote unquote grunge and without.
What'd you say? Name a few. I can think of a few off the top of my head. I know that I don't think either of us knew about Elliott Smith before.
Not know about Elliott Smith.
I mean, shit. Even within the genre itself,
I didn't really know about Mark Lanigan. I didn't know much about Mother Love Bone, for example.
Even like Temple of the Dog and Mad Season. Like, I didn't listen to them. I learned about them as soon as we started this thing. Like, there's a lot of bands that actually had the deep dives into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even outside of the genre, like I learned about a band named Camp Cope from the page. But yeah, I think Elliott Smith's probably one of the bigger ones outside of the genre, because for some reason, I always make the connection in my head between Elliott Smith and Nick Drake. I don't really know why. I just, maybe because of their songwriting styles and their struggles. But I'd known of Nick Drake, and I forget how I learned, or who or when explained Elliott Smith to me or suggested. But I mean, that was a game changer. And it's always fun too, because the inbox is always full of suggestions, and when I do go in there, there's a lot of good things in there. So it's really exciting to learn. And I know one that everybody, whenever I post them, everybody is like, you need to get into them more, is Queens of the Stone Age and Primus and Limp Bizkit and Limp Bizkit
and Tool and Helmet and
and Malfunction. And there's like a running list of 5 to 6 bands that every single time we post them, the comments are immediately, you don't post them enough, or we need more of them. And Tool is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Helmet.
Well, we'll come back to Queens of the Stone Age. I'll let you talk about that. But it's interesting because there was a time period where everybody's like, you need to post Tool. You need to post Tool. And we're like, we're not doing it. Absolutely. We're not posting Tool. Stop asking. And then we gave in and we posted Tool. And now no one asks because we posted them before. Yeah. And then there's the Primus, like post Primus. And we're like, screw Primus, they suck. And then we're like, all right, we'll post Primus. And I feel like we've done this a few times. Helmet has been requested a lot.
Yeah, and there's some repeat offenders too. There's people. So what happened with Primus was there was this one specific person who, for I don't even know how long, it was like a couple of weeks or maybe even a month or two, would periodically message us and tell us that we need to post Primus. And that makes me think of Sweetwater, for example, too. Our friend Taylor Berry, he had direct messaged us once and said that we needed to post Sweetwater. And he was like the 90s band from Seattle, not the band from the 60s. And I think we read it and didn't respond. And then he sent us the same message again the next day. And you respond, you're like, tell us 69 days in a row and then we'll do it. And he stuck to it. Every single day for 69 days, he DM'd us and he told us that we needed to post Sweetwater. And then on that day, when that day came, it was Sweetwater Bible. We
changed our name
for the whole day. So persistent. Sometimes
we cut our hair and changed our name.
We traded that life for fortune and fame. Yeah, it was absolutely perfect. But it's always funny. There's not really a band in the hopper right now that is like that there's like a unified call that we need to post them more. But it's exactly like what you said. We'll be like, absolutely not. We can't post this, or I don't know anything about this band. How can I post about them if I don't know, who they are? But yeah, Tool was.
I mean, in the beginning, it was like before we had posted Silverchair, before we posted Much Smashing Pumpkins, people were like, please post that. And we're just like, that was back when we only posted the big four, really, and maybe STP. And then obviously we started doing a little bit more. And but yeah.
Speaking of one of the more annoying things on the page is, say, I'll go on, I'll post a band, and then maybe 2 posts later, I'll post another band. And they'll be like, how come you don't post more of this band? I never see them here. And it's the post from 2 posts ago where I posted that band. Or you just make one post and someone's like, oh, all you ever do is post this band. It always happens with Pearl Jam. And then I always like to go like, well, in the last 3 days, I've posted 19 different bands, none of which was Pearl Jam until now. So,
but then in the same breath, you have people that say, could you post more of this?
Yeah.
All you do is post non-grunge stuff. And we're like, listen, we're just out here doing our best.
Yeah. We found a cheat code to be all things to all people, in the sense that we are simultaneously posting not enough of every single band that's existed. And at the same time, we're posting too much of every single band that's existed. I don't really know how that happened, but for better or for worse, that's where we're at. But, in that sense, sometimes when people say, hey, it's been a while since you've posted this band, you should post something. If I'm in the right mood, I'll go ahead and I'll post them right away. But sometimes if I've had a bad day and I let it seep into this, if someone's like, hey, I haven't seen this band in a while, I make an active note. I'm like, not only am I
good, and you won't see it for another 10 posts.
Exactly. I was
back to your room.
Not only am I not posting it today, I won't post it tomorrow. I won't post it next week.
Sure as hell won't post it Friday.
You will never see it ever again on this page. Yeah, I can be cranky like that. I can get into a pissy mood sometimes, and it definitely bleeds in. I mean, as it does in all aspects of your life. You can have a bad day at work and you go home with the wife and kids and you're in a shitty mood, or
you've been listening to Limp Bizkit all day.
Yeah, exactly. Fred Durst comments on your post.
You're all pumped up on chocolate flavored water.
Is that a Limp Bizkit reference?
Yeah.
Okay, I know nothing about Limp Bizkit, so I didn't even know.
Starfish flavored water and a chocolate.
So I have a confession to make, actually. It was about an hour ago that I texted you that Fred Durst commented on it.
You didn't know the lead singer's name was Fred Durst.
I did not know who Fred Durst was.
Yeah, so you didn't know.
So I saw the notification. It was like somebody was like, "Hey, Fred Durst commented." So I looked. I was like, "Oh shoot, Fred Durst commented." Who the fuck is Fred Durst? So I had to Google.
I
I was like,
remember.
Fred Durst.
Well, I remember when we did the April Fool's Day. I think we
Mhm.
were. You said that you didn't have a Limp Bizkit phase in your high school career, so
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I didn't really know I didn't know his name until, I mean, I don't know. So I started looking up
Yeah.
stuff about Limp. I don't know. I think I had their CD. I don't know. Back when you got music, not like through LimeWire or something like that.
Mhm.
So
Were you a LimeWire guy?
yeah, I was a little bit like my brother Quinn was a LimeWire guy.
Okay.
So we had all the same music. So
Yeah.
I think he used that, or it was like FrostWire or something too.
Was that like
But
B-list LimeWire? Like the
yeah, something like the
yeah.
same thing. Um, but I actually got a lot of music. I had a friend, actually the singer in my band. He just had tons of music. I just knew a bunch of people that had a ton of music, and they would just let me burn it.
Mhm.
So I didn't use too much of the internet. I didn't ruin my parents' computer all that
Oh,
much, which is good.
I cannot say the same. I was a LimeWire guy,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what I was doing.
No,
So
no
God
one did.
knows. No, exactly. You never knew what you were going to get. And, I was getting set up, and I, just started to get into music a little bit, and I was using LimeWire, and next thing you know, the computer went out. But similarly, I had a friend who, I went to grade school with, who was a year older than me, who was really into music from a really young age. He's, played the guitar for, 80% of his life, probably. His name's Jeff, and he used to, buy music and buy CDs and stuff. And he would always like make a mix on a CD, and he would give me the
Mm-hmm.
CD, and I'd get my music that way. And I got turned on to a lot of good stuff from him, back when I was,
I
7,
mean,
9 years old.
there is nothing better than, and this goes for, and even in the romantic sense of it, is burning a CD for your significant other, burning a CD for your best buddy. Like, dude, you got to listen to these songs. Those were the days when you had your friend who you really trusted in music, and he's like, I burned you like, here's 12 to 14 songs.
Because that was a big responsibility,
Oh yeah, I mean, I burned some songs. I remember, like, I mean, you had to make you only had an hour of audio you could put onto this disc,
yeah.
and it had to be really good.
And the pressure was on too. So, for example, if you're like, a young Ethan Shalloway pursuing a female, and one of your first overtures is going to be, here's this CD mix of songs that I've chosen.
They made me think of you.
Yeah, that's got to be a good mix. Like you can't be putting you can't be putting Smash Mouth on there or something. Like, but the problem is you had to hit that right mix of, like, you had to have some hits so they actually like knew some of the things that were on there, but then other ones is like, wow, like this person is so mysterious,
so insightful. Like,
exactly.
I didn't even know that Limp Bizkit had a chocolate starfish in the hot dog. It's chocolate starfish in the hot dog flavored water. I would never put Limp Bizkit on a CD for a girl.
Well, maybe that's the difference maker. You might have to,
I definitely loved, burning CDs. That was great.
Yeah.
Now we just got playlists, which is great too.
Yeah,
but
playlists are good too.
Yeah, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, and I do enjoy. I like making playlists, and that's another thing I like about the page too. Is I'll make different playlists and I'll share them with people, and people will reply and be like, wow, this is actually really good, or hey, I just want to let you know I put this on at work and it was really cool. And those are always some of my favorite messages to get, if like you post something and someone's like, wow, I didn't know about this musician, and then they respond like, hey man, like I've been listening to this group or this person nonstop for the last 3 days, thanks so much for showing me this music. That's always fun too, because I like to think we share more good, beneficial things than we do meaningless shit postery. But people seem to get someone seems to get something out of every post that we do.
Yeah,
there's always
and
one.
Just like, and just kind of like we talked about it earlier, but getting a request, and sometimes when it hits you in that right mood, and you're like, you know what, I got you, brother, and you go quick pull up the exact video they're looking for. They're like, hey, could you really do this? Or sometimes you've done it where like, hey, my brother passed away. He was a huge Cure fan. Could you post some Cure, or post some post some Gourd? I remember you did that once for
Gord
brother,
Downey, for somebody, exactly.
For a brother, and you posted it, and like those type of interactions when people ask, or if even if they didn't ask, but when you can post something for a specific reason, and it's just well received. That's always it's always a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into what we were talking about at the beginning. Like it's still weird to me to find myself in a position where somebody would ask me, something of that nature, or somebody would see the page as something that could be helpful in that way. And if I see something like that, 100 times out of 100, I'll try to make a post and commemorate somebody, because at the end of the day, there's so much shitty stuff that goes on the internet, and unfortunately, there's a decent amount of shitty things that go on our page, that sometimes are out of our control, with people saying bad things to people. But anytime you have an opportunity to do something like that, I think it's worth it, because you're given this blank canvas on the internet, and you can post whatever you want, and you can talk about whatever you want, and you might as well trend towards the good if you can.
Yeah, and it's just like, so we've worked with, I just think of like posts that make people extremely happy. Some of the best responses is when there's artists, whether it be music or say drawing or certain things, and we share their work and we give them credit. That makes a huge difference in a small band or small stuff. So when we've kind of switched up how we do things with like promotional work and just sharing bands and who we share, and we get a ton of requests, but it's always nice to just post somebody and then we get a really nice message from them, and they're just so thankful that they got on the page. And it's like,
yeah.
And I mean, if I'm being honest with you and everybody out there, like, it's the least we could do is post you guys on this platform. And I've told people, I'm like, hey man, like if we can post you guys and it fits in, and like, sorry, we don't do it more. We don't want to flood the page per se, but like, it is always fun to do that. And when people are super happy, and they like post it on their story, like, hey, we're on Grunge Bible. I'm like,
yeah.
And
even
cool.
And even selfishly, I just think about artists like that, personally, I'm most excited not to share it with other people, but the fact that it was shared with me. So just thinking of like 3 of my favorite, musicians or bands that we've worked with, I think of the Blue Cheese, great acoustic duo. I think of Hello Mary, which I'm actually wearing their shirt right now.
Incredible.
I think they've got music coming out this spring. And I also think of June Swoon, who you taught me about, which her album, which came out in 2019, I think it was called This Town Could Be Big Enough for the Both of Us.
Yep.
Like, pretty much single-handedly got me through a pretty terrible breakup. Like I just discovered it just at the time that a relationship of mine was ending. And, it was just great that I was able to, to hear that, and, to be able to share it with people too, and tell people about it. And also I think it's cool too, to be able to, regardless of the size of the artist, to be able to somehow get in contact with them and tell them, thank you. And, I always try to do that. If I can, if I find something that I enjoy, is just to be able to reach out and be like, hey, like this was really special to me, or this was really helpful, or it really resonated with me. Because I think at the end of the day, that type of encouragement, regardless, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're encouraged, by people that, they find value in it, that's got to be a really empowering feeling. And even with the page, people will tell us, hey, thanks for doing it. I don't think it takes any talent to do what we do. Like we're not talent, like, we just post stuff on the internet, but it is always nice to hear, that people are enjoying it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's definitely nice when you can connect with an artist that, it's just like, it's just like when we post things and people respond to us, like if we can respond to somebody that affected us and they respond back, that always is a really nice interaction.
Yeah. 100%. But yeah, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad to social media. But I definitely think at the end of the day, there certainly is more good than bad. So I guess, if you're one of the things, social media too, really quick, it's always strange to me how people, just the way that they'll interact as if, you're not talking to another human being, like the old adage, like, oh, you wouldn't say that if they were sitting across the table. But I think it kind of works both ways. It's, sometimes people are more comfortable sharing personal things that they might want to share because they're online and they don't have to face people. And there's also, unfortunately, people that are more comfortable sharing horrible things and calling people names and being shitty because they're not across. But, that's always the weird thing about technology and innovation, is that, there's no user guide onto, hey, this is what you should use it for, or this is what you shouldn't use it for, and it's just kind of up to us. But I do think fundamentally there's more good people out there than there are bad. So
Yeah, you make a good point about the people feeling more comfortable sharing online, and I was going to bring that up. That's one of the we've had some very very deep conversations with a lot of people in our direct messages, and that's what's always scary to think that if we haven't seen our full inbox, what we've missed, because we try to respond to certain looking messages and certain tones, and we've had some really good interactions and some just some important times in people's
really important
lives,
conversations.
Yep, and that is that's always that's always worth.
Yeah, that's another
it's
thing.
Always worth it.
Yeah, like that's another one of those things that anytime you have the opportunity to be there for somebody, just as I've inevitably used the page at times. If I'm going through some stuff, I'll share something and I'll comment about it, be like, I'll share a bit of music and say something, and random strangers will, encourage me or whatever, or, share their perspective and different things. And, it's such a good platform when people are just helping one another and trying to make each other's lives better, because, if we're not doing that, then what are we doing?
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
That's definitely what this page is. I just love calling it a music community, and it's so cool to think that there's people from all ages in different countries interacting. It's pretty unique.
Yeah, including Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit.
Yes, including, most importantly, Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit.
He is the most significant interactor on this page.
Just like we're not that far from like meeting up with him or something. I feel
we get to ride in the station wagon that he posts incessantly on his Instagram page. That would be a big moment.
We listen to "Rollin" by Limp Bizkit as we drive in that thing.
That would be god tier meme material. Is with Fred Durst listening to "Rollin" in his station wagon. With 40s, because you probably would have to have 40s just to
we would
complete the meme. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, 40s. We got drunk on it too. Hell yeah.
That's the way it goes down.
That's another time. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll save that one for another time. But yeah, we're really appreciative for the platform. And if you're still with us here, we're 9 podcast episodes in. We had a couple of bonus episodes, and I've kind of in a way been overwhelmed by the feedback and just the metrics behind it. There's a lot of people listening, a lot of people seeming to enjoy it and everything. And we're so grateful for everybody that's been listening and everybody that's been supporting. And as we said, and as we continually say, if you're interested in supporting this podcast, we do have a Patreon account, which you can go to grungebible.com for the links there, and you can support us. We have 3 different tiers, which with you can show your support. Additionally, we have merchandise available that's also linked on grungebible.com. And then lastly, make sure you're following the podcast wherever you're streaming it. Follow it on Spotify, subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, throw our YouTube page a follow, or a subscription rather, and leave a review. Especially on Apple Podcasts, you can give it a certain number of stars, and you can leave a review. You can write up something. So if you're enjoying it, we would really appreciate it. If you did any of those things, or even just send us a direct message that we will read and we will respond, because we like those messages, and we like to interact with people when we can. And just let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you like it, if you hate it. But speaking of reviews, we do officially have our first 1-star review on Apple Podcasts. Somebody gave us a 1-star review.
Printed out.
Somebody gave a 1-star review and said, "Barf, this is the worst podcast ever." So I think that's going to be the new byline for the promotion. Through? I think this was like a week ago.
Okay.
So the first one.
If we did anything to somebody,
probably somebody that I blocked.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes. You take the good with the bad and you keep moving forward. But seriously, thank you everybody who's out there listening. If you're hearing our words right now, that's more than we'd ever expected anybody to do, is to be with us and listen.
Yeah, I was going to say the same exact thing. I mean, there's plenty of ways to support us, but the best way to support us is just to tag along and be here for this and listen and just keep listening. And if you can't do anything else, that's really fine by us. Maybe at some point, if you're available to do it, but if not, just listening is and responding every once in a while is great.
Yeah, listening and tolerating our shitty memes that most of the time come from me, so I apologize. Next segment right here, Song of the Week. I have one actually that I'll lead in with this just because I referenced them earlier. So my Song of the Week, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is In the Fade by Queens of the Stone Age. So I've never gotten into Queens of the Stone Age. Everybody has told me that I need to listen to them. This song popped up for some reason on my Discover Weekly on Spotify this morning on Monday. And the reason why I like it so much is that Mark Lanigan does the vocals on it. So I think he was a touring member and he recorded on a couple of Queens of the Stone Age albums. So that's the Queen's music that I am most inclined to enjoy. And In the Fade, I don't know how to describe it. It's Mark Lanigan. You know, anything that Mark does, I am a fan of. So that is my Song of the Week. I've been listening to it a bunch today.
That's awesome. I'm adding it to the
official playlist
right now
as we speak. We're doing real time. You can't get better than this.
I got it right here. I'm clicking add to playlist so I can remember. So the nice part about this is if you follow the playlist, you get the new songs added to the playlist before the podcast comes out on Friday.
Bonus, baby.
So it comes out way before. This is a whole week in advance, which is we're happy that that we are recording these in real time. It's kind of fun.
Closer to real time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Same week. So, okay. That's a great add to the playlist.
That's 50% of this week's bonus. Ethan, what's the other 50%? What is your Song of the Week?
I got a good one. So this one kind of parallels with my experience the other weekend when I went back to Kentucky, but it's a theme song, I guess. But it's by Bowling for Soup, and it's the song Almost.
Oh my gosh!
And, I feel like I'm sharing too much, but
no such thing. You're only sharing it with thousands of people.
Yeah, no, but Almost. I think it's a great anthem, and sometimes it just feels right when you almost have it. You almost had something, and you let it go, or that girl. But the lyrics, I just want to read it. It says, "I almost had you, but I guess that doesn't cut it. Almost had you, and I didn't even know it." So for all those girls that you forgot to make a playlist for, and you forgot to tell them, they have the voice.
Forgot to burn that CD for them in 2006.
There's still time. There's still time. Don't forget to say something because you can have them, but you got to give them that CD. So yeah, Almost by Bowling for Soup. It's just an anthem. I just started listening to Bowling for Soup more recently.
Fantastic. I can confidently say that I think the only Bowling for Soup song that I know is the cover of 1985. They did. I don't know why, but that's
a cover?
Yeah. I just found this out recently. Apparently.
I don't think I knew that.
No, I didn't know this either until like a week or two ago. Yeah, I forget who it was by, but nevertheless, I don't know why, but your song suggestion kind of made me think of, and I don't know why, but it made me think of My Own Worst Enemy by Lit. Those songs, are they similar at all?
Well, so we had this joke. I was driving up with my buddy Jacob, and I put it on, and like you got like Hawthorne Heights, Bowling for Soup, Simple Plan, like these bands from that type of emo punk, they all sound the same.
Jimmy Eat World,
Yes, they're like those bands have the higher pitched guys, and they're just absolute like. I think I posted Almost on Porch Radio too, but they're just all the same. They're all very similar. Yeah. They're not the same. They're all very different, but they're all the same.
They're all cars on a similar highway. So look at that. I mean, we've got Bowling for Soup references. We've got Fred Durst banter. We've got bitching and complaining. We've got finding out that 1985 was actually a cover. All in all, what more could you want for an episode of the Grunge Bible podcast, right?
Checks all my boxes.
That's pretty much what it comes down to. So once again, thank you to everybody who's listening. Thank you to everyone who is choosing to support us over there on Patreon or by listening or in any way, shape, or form that you're choosing to show your support. Our producer of this podcast is Drew McFadden. So want to
shout out
thank you,
Drew, exactly.
As always, to Drew. And I believe that will do it for episode 9 of the Grunge Bible podcast. So stay tuned next week episode 10 is going to be an episode about 10 by Pearl Jam.
It has to be.
So
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're excited for that one. So we're going to get to work on that one. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy this episode, and we will talk to you next week with some 10 action.
Hell yeah, brother. Rock and roll. Thanks again, guys.
Rock and roll.
We'll see you next week.
Take it easy.